Hey there, hi there, ho there, and hello there, and welcome back to an exciting edition of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast. We have not been with you in a while, as we've been kind of on our summer break, so to speak, with some of us on vacation and some of us still doing other things and on vacation. But we have Case and I in here today to discuss things with you in the Cardinal world, as Jared is at it. Jim Patterson Stadium today, and I wonder what he's doing at their Case.
Staying dry at the moment, but I guess everybody's trying to see how long that will last.
I think the last forecast I saw on that was the rain wasn't supposed to come in until 5 p.m., but that was early this morning. Maybe that's changed because it looks kind of overcast out there now.
Yeah, it just kind of looks like it's going to be. I'm checking right now. It looks like it's just going to kind of be overcast through the afternoon, and then, like you said, 5, 6 when the chances start growing.
As our baseball cards are taking on ACC foe Miami as they play in the Super Regionals. So congratulations to them for getting that far.
Coincidentally, they did not play Miami this season.
Yeah, they were not on the schedule. That's right. And so a first meeting for them. So Jared is out there taking pictures of that. He, of course, is a writer here as well as our staff photographer, and also shares his pictures with other sources. So he is in demand, certainly, for an event this big. And then Daryl Faust, who you'll normally hear on these airwaves with us on the podcast and such, is on vacation. So she's going to be out for a couple of weeks. And she and her hubby are going to Florida. So certainly I hope they have a great time down there. And Daryl's so hardworking that she deserves the vacation Case. So it's good to have her getting a little rest and recap to get herself ready. And I don't really know how busy they are down at U of L right now, where she works, but she saw it fit to take some time off.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know what being in HR looks like over the summer at a university.
Yeah, I haven't talked to anybody down there in quite a while. I think Lori Cordy was the last one I had. Lori Cordy Harmon was the last one I had contact with, who is now the SID for the lacrosse program. And so, anyway, I'm sure they're all doing well. And this is the time of year when there are really no major activities going on in a lot of the sports we cover on the women's side. That a lot of the SIDs kind of get their vacations in, get their breaks in, and also kind of just to catch up with stuff. But news, well, yeah, we probably got a little news here. Case just kind of catch us up on you though first, and tell us how your summer's been so far and what's going on.
Just busy. It's the way it goes. Just keeping busy with work and trying to get things done around the house. So I'll be out next week. We've got our neighborhood yard sale is next weekend. So that's what I'll be doing with my Saturday. But getting that stuff ready throughout this week and repairing the washing machine today. Hopefully the thing that we I'm pretty sure that what I have determined is the issue. Find out really quick whenever I go to fix it and try to test and see what happens. But
Just don't pull a Gomer Pyle.
What did Gomer Pyle do?
There's an old Andy Griffith Show episode where Aunt Bee buys a freezer and it breaks down. And so Andy's trying to get her to call a repairman in Mount Pilot, but Aunt Bee doesn't want to spend the money, so she brings Gomer Pyle in, the mechanic, to work on it. With, as you can imagine, disastrous results.
Yeah.
So I never worked on one of them before, Andy, but I'll try. So anyway, don't pull Gomer Pyle if you have any doubts. calling a professional. That's what they get paid for.
I watched a video on the internet, so I've got
Oh, then you know
I've got
what?
that advantage that Gomer didn't have. So
Yeah, that's right. He had no internet to be able to watch, and probably wouldn't have figured it out if he had. But I know that we had a washer that lasted. It seemed like since I was a little boy. Seriously, down in my basement, and when it finally conked out, we called a repairman. He took one look at it and just shook his head. He said, "I haven't seen one this old in a long, long time, sir." He says, "I don't know if I can get parts for it." And he says, "I don't even know if that's the only thing wrong with it." I said, "Okay, so the option leaves me to just go ahead and buy new." He goes, "Well, if it was in my basement, I would." That's right. So anyway, a trip to Bargain Supply took care of me there. But anyway, we'll move on into it a little bit here. I guess maybe in case if we're gonna start out on something, let's go ahead and start out on our track and field superstar who came to us from Indiana a couple years ago. She's a senior now. Uh, Jaden Ulrich, who is in throws for the Cards. And before we kind of get into what she's doing now, let's just take a listen to this resume. She was on the 2024 Paris Team USA Olympian discus throw, the United States outdoor silver medalist in the discus throw in 2024, the NCAA outdoor silver medalist in the discus throw in 1924, All American first team in the shot put 24 and 25, and the list just keeps going on. She's just has done some wonderful things in the 2 years here at Louisville, and I'm just you know I'm amazed that she's had all that success, and certainly uh, she's competing now again this year. Does she have a chance to win all this the big money? She's gotten silver medalists quite a few times, but she got a chance to get the championship.
I mean, I think so. She's really good. um, she's the first track and field athlete for U of L to multi qualify for the national championship meet in back to back seasons since Imani Henderson did it from 2015 to 2017. All three of those seasons was a dual qualifier. I mean, Ulrich is a very good thrower. I think that she's had good enough events this season, this postseason, but I do think that she will be looking for more. Um, in this national championship meet. Um, so yeah, it's tough to say exactly how it'll turn out in any given day, right? You
For
watch
sure.
you watch the Olympics and somebody shows up and it's like, yeah, this person holds all these records and all this stuff for this event, and then you only get so many tries and in the meet, and if it's not your day or the wind is blowing strangely, people think that these very heavy items like shot put and the discus aren't that impacted by the wind, but they are. It's not just that light things get impacted by wind resistance. So, kind of just comes down to how the day is going, and I think it would be great for Ulrich to be able to take home one of these outdoor national championships. I'd like to see it.
And I think that especially with the discus being wind impacted or aided, because it's kind of a flat surface and you're throwing it way up in the air, not like a shot put, which is kind of round and heavy, and you just kind of heave that from a circle. the discus would be more likely to be, I think, impacted by a wind. But certainly she came to Louisville with a slew of all honors that she'd already compiled at Indiana, a three-time NCAA Outdoor Championship qualifier, honorable mention All-American. Was 14th in the shot put in the 2023 NCAA Indoor Championships. And in 2022, she won the Big Ten Outdoor title. So, you have to take a look at a player like that and kind of take a look at the dynamics of what got her to Louisville. And I think, first of all, you have to take a look at her coach because, obviously her coach was such a big influence for her when she was at IU. And then all of a sudden, he came down and joined the Louisville staff. And I think that's got to have a lot to do with it.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at what Joe Franklin, the director of the track and field and cross country group, has done since he came on for U of L, and bringing Corey Martin in for throws was one of those big items. And like you said, it brought Ulrich down with Martin, and we've also seen that not just Ulrich is having success. Multiple throwers qualify for the regional event. Only Ulrich advanced in the throws, but getting to the regionals is just as good for someone that's not competing for what is basically the top throw. Jaden Ulrich has the second longest discus throw in NCAA history. Now, the problem with that is that someone that she will be competing against for this national championship has that longest throw this season. So that's going to be a little bit inconvenient. But when you're looking at throwers like that, then you say, okay, well, yeah, getting to the regional meet is good. And having, 8 women qualify for the regional meet for 10 different events, or however many it was very good showing for the Cards. And we saw that both on the track and in the field events, which is not as common over the seasons at U of L. So to be able to be seeing that success in various different events, not just pole vault, even though pole vault becoming a specialty for the Cards, but the jumps, the sprints, the distance, the throws, kind of everywhere across that organization or across the program was seeing success this season. So if Ulrich can cap that off with a national championship or two, I think it'd be very indicative of the program's success over this year, and not just hers.
And I think it's also a situation where a coach and a player do build that kind of special bond. And when Martin was at IU for his 9 years, he was an incredible, successful throws coach. And Louisville obviously came along, and I'm not sure how they got him there, but he brought a very good thrower with him. And sometimes you'll see players follow coaches' case to different schools because they're comfortable with the coach's style, the way that the coach handles them, and some of the other things. I mean, so we wish her the best of luck and hope that things turn out well for her. And certainly, let's hope that she can get it all done. Other transfers into the program, we've got one that kind of just came in recently, and this is with the women's soccer program, and I may miss the pronunciation here, but it's Liza Soydam. Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's a guess at it, but she has come in from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Spent 2 years playing soccer at Monmouth, which is in New Jersey. She'll have 2 years left with the Cards on the field. Uh, and started all 39 games that she played at Monmouth in 2 years. Karen Ferguson Day is very, very happy to have her. Says she will be a wonderful addition to the team. She's a central midfielder who likes to be on the ball and move the game forward. She's technically gifted and can beat you on the dribble, as well as look to combine to break you down. And she can score goals as well as set people up. So I think Ferguson says we're thrilled to have a player of that ability to join a team that's already pretty talented. And I think when you take a look at her coming into the roster, Case was Louisville basically in the need of a player like that to come in and kind of run down that central midfielder position?
I think Louisville, needed a creator. You look at what um, Soydam did at Monmouth. As a freshman, she had 17 points in 19 games. She scored 39 points over 39 games in the 2 seasons, which quick math tells you that was 22 points in this past season over 20 games. And Louisville did not have someone score a point per game this year. The closest was Mackenzie Gagley. Giggs had 17 points in 18 games, so there or thereabouts, but she plays on the outside, and having someone that can disrupt in the middle, obviously playing outside in is a very common tactic in soccer. It is very successful. You need to be able to do it, because if you can only play up the middle, then you're going to get jammed up, and it's not going to be very productive for you. But you also just can't only play from the outside, because then the other team is just going to force you wide, and you can't shoot on goal if you're just standing to the right or left of the 18-yard box. It's pretty difficult. So you look at Gagley with 17 points. That was on 7 goals, 3 assists. And it would be nice to have somebody with a few more assists. Brooke Dardano had the most for the Cards last season. Dardano has graduated. So that's 7 assists that are going out the door. And then you look at the second leading points getter for U of L last season was Carson Cherry, who is your center defender, which, yikes.
Yeah, you're not normally a person that you expect to be your second leading scorer.
Correct. She had 6 goals. It was the second leading goal getter on the team, and also led to her scoring 13 total points because she had 1 assist. And so that is just how it is. You need somebody to be able to be in that central mid and be able to create. It was what Amina Ekic was fantastic at. I'm not saying that this will be a position for Soydam to come in and be Amina Ekic. I think that if anybody wants to see some players do that, it would be like H.E. Gibson. Maybe we can finally see Betsy Huckabee play an offensive position, given that that's a position she's playing for Racing Louisville's USL team. But having more attackers is something that Louisville needs. We've seen them struggle offensively. They scored 25 total goals last season in 18 games. Like 7 of those came against Bellarmine. So
yes,
that means he scored 17 goals over the remaining or 18 goals over the remaining 17 games. You look at UAB, that's another 3 goals. Louisville only scored 3 goals 3 times last season. Other than those, and they only scored 2 goals One, two, three more times. That's not good. That's six multi-goal games out of
Your,
18.
your offense needs a boost for sure. But you had mentioned earlier A.G. Gibson, and of course she will be a sophomore this upcoming season, and was a midfielder last year, and actually is a home born and bred here from Louisville. Went to Assumption, had a great career at Assumption, and then came in here as a freshman. Played in all 18 games last year, Case, and made 15 starts in her first season. She obviously is somebody who came in and did the best she could, and also played a club for Racing Louisville, so great experience there. And at Assumption, she was a two-time first team All-State honoree, and then also a two-time Region 7 Player of the Year. So at Assumption, she guided them to the regional championship in 2022. Uh, she's certainly going to add some depth and bolster that position as well. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, but I mean, like last season, we expected to see that from her, um, playing a more forward position, and we saw her get dropped back into the back two of a 3-5-2 or 4-5-1 offense, um, with Betsy Huckabee, who was another very good scorer in high school, another player from Louisville that we thought would be, pushing forward that offense. And if the intent, which it may very well have been, if the intent from Karen Ferguson days was that by putting these creators in the position that they were in, you can build more offense from the back and not just depend on getting the ball forward. Like, intending that those players will be the first line of the offense rather than the second line of the defense, right? If you're saying that they're going to push that ball forward, that didn't work. Louisville couldn't get the ball forward. They didn't have creators on the sharp end of the offense to be able to make things happen. Like I said, Brooke Dardano was the leading assist getter. Brooke Dardano was the right back. she got most of her assists from goals by Carson Sherry on corner kicks. And so, like, the offense, for what it was, didn't really exist last year outside of Mackenzie Gagley. Like, Mackenzie Gagley was the offense. And other than that, you scored on some set pieces. That's not... If you look at the personnel that are on this team, and that were on the team last year, and that were on the team the year before that, you say, this is the personnel we have. How can this be the way we're playing offense? And so hopefully, bringing in Liza Soydom gets them to say, look, we can build a strong 3-4 player midfield that is going to push that offense forward and not tie our hands behind our backs with our offensive players by putting them in the back line. So we'll see. I mean, they had as many... Going back to the multi-goal games, they had as many games last season where they did not score a goal as where they scored multiple goals. That's just... It's not good. That's not good offense.
It's a lack of offense for sure. But if you look back at last year in the Cards,
They had 3-0 ties.
18 games, they had 5 ties and won 7 and 6 and 5. Where it counts, where it matters, where we like to see the W's in the ACC, they were kind of a dismal 350 percentage at 2-5 and 3, and that's certainly not what you want to see in a conference as good as the ACC is in women's soccer. And the only maybe redeeming factors, they did play okay at home, going 6-2, but they started out obviously with nice wins over UAB, Bellarmine, obviously, but then brought in New Hampshire to Lynn Stadium and tied them 1-1. And New Hampshire just didn't exactly strike fear into my heart here as a powerhouse,
No. Yeah, I mean, you look at the non-conference. So Louisville went 6-2-3 at home. They went 4-1-1 at home in non-conference. And like you said, they drew New Hampshire 1-1. They had the opportunity to win that game pretty handily and didn't do it. And instead gave up a goal near the death. And then almost gave up another goal to lose. So that would have been a disaster. But then you look at the last non-conference game of the season. They play against Dayton, and they lose that 1-0 at home. You look at that non-conference schedule. They didn't even play Kentucky for the first time. I mean, I guess they only play them every once in a while these days in women's soccer, but there just wasn't. The non-conference schedule last season was one that you look at and you say, even though when we look back, looking into the season, their 2023 season was quite poor. And so a lot of those teams were ahead of Louisville in the RPI at the end of 2023, but 2024 should have been different. When we saw them score a bunch of goals against Bellarmine, when we saw the offense do some stuff against UAB, you're like, okay, maybe we do have something going on here. And then, the clunker against New Hampshire, they barely get out of Northern Kentucky with a win. They draw at Cincinnati, come home, play Evansville, and do well. 3-0 win against Evansville, 2-0 win against UT Martin. You're like, all right, maybe we got something rolling. And they lose to Dayton, and then they lose to Pitt, and then they lose to VT. Like, it's just, it was a clunker of a beginning to the to the conference schedule, which was kind of created by having no real momentum in the non-conference. Even though the looking at those teams now and looking at what Louisville had on the roster and could have had as far as performance, I think Louisville should have gone like 8-0 in non-conference. It's not that crazy to have thought that they weren't playing any super good teams. So yeah, it just, I don't know. It's been a struggle the last few years.
And in that Dayton game too, I mean, it was, we all, I think, kind of sat up there in the press box at Lynn and thought to ourselves, okay, it's Dayton, they're not much or anything. And they came out and scored on the Cards in the first 4 minutes, wasting no time to get on the scoreboard. And then after that, it was the big null and void.
Which more or less means Louisville had another 0-0 draw.
Yeah,
it just
pretty much
spotted Dayton a goal to begin it.
And that one kind of came maybe on a defensive error because the Cards were able to actually clear a ball out of the box, but a Dayton player got to it first, and she turned toward the goal, took a right foot, kicked the ball past the goalkeeper, and inside the right post for the opening and only goal of the match. So anyway, kind of a disappointing factor there. The Cards tried to score in that game. In the 15th minute, Brooke Dardano set a shot right at the goal, and unfortunately, their goalkeeper, Lauren Contini, was there for the follow-up for the Cards, but her volley went wide to the net. So, you got to hope that this team can kind of come back a little bit. And certainly, like you mentioned earlier, the potential's there. You've got a lot of players there that look like they could be on paper somebody that could really help the team. What's Karen Ferguson Day's got to do to kind of mold them into a winning conference over 500 unit?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. If I knew, then she would probably know because she's been a coach for 25 years. Like, she's a good coach. I think it's been frustrating to see, feeling like we're not getting the most out of the roster. But obviously, looking from the outside is very different than seeing what she's seeing day in, day out with the team. it's easy to look and say, why are you playing this person here? And it's like, well, because in addition to their offensive skills, they've got passing defensive skills. And if maybe if they put a replacement in for where she was playing Huckabee and Gibson last season, maybe we're giving up 3 goals a game. You know, the defense was fairly strong. They did have 2 games where they gave up 5 goals, but one of those was against North Carolina. Both of them were on the road, so but yeah, it you don't know what she's seeing and why necessarily it's not what we expect to see from the roster or from the team. So I don't know what she's got to do. She figure something out. Got to do something because these last 3 seasons have not been the answer.
And normally, what we'll do is when the team gets ready to start their season, and traditionally it's right around the middle of August, I will get down there a few weeks beforehand and do what's become basically a yearly interview with Karen Ferguson Days, as we kind of talk about the potential and the past season and what she expects for the future and all. And Coach has always been very, very accommodating to do that with us and to do that interview with us. And then usually right around that same time, too, they do the Fall Media Sports Day. So we're getting actually Ferguson Days twice. And then I think it was the last year you did the Fall or the Spring Sports Media Day.
I believe it was in the 2024 Spring Sports Media Day, I believe is the one.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so we'll certainly, look forward to that with Karen Ferguson Days and hopefully be able to get a good conversation in with her and find out some good things and basically maybe even ask her, Coach, how do we kind of turn things around here to win in conference? With the only team you beat was North Carolina State. And I don't want to get her too mad. I don't want to pull a case on her and get her upset at us.
But they beat Cal. They beat Cal. They won 2 conference games.
Oh, okay. I only had them with 1 conference win.
The 2. They beat.
But that's true. They went 2-5-3. You're right. It was away.
Cal.
It was away, but still, we're not going to go ahead and puff our chest and brag about a 2-5-3 conference record either. Nope. So let's hope that they can turn that around, and we'll be looking forward to them and see what they can do. Obviously, coming up, another sport that's had some transfer activity, and this is for the 25-26 season coming up. So some very good players coming on board here, from what we can tell, just based on their previous statistics and stuff. Case they got the Raina Scott, who will be coming in from Oklahoma. Skylar Jones, who was lights out at Arizona. Izelia Arenas has already played with us.
She's transferred out.
Yeah, and then is gone. Isosa Infidon had played with us and is gone, right?
Yes.
So I think she ended up leaving. But Laura Ziegler is coming in also as a transfer from St. Joseph's. So you take a look at the players that are coming in and the things that they can do. I think the first place you got to start is with Raina Scott. She's coming into us after having, what I think was a really good career so far when she was actually playing at Oklahoma. Had 3 seasons there. And out of New York City. So she's got that kind of New York toughness to her. Jeff Walls is just very excited about her with her leadership. She averaged 4.8 a game and also 2.2 assists a game. And I think we look forward to see what she can do with this program.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a creator. Helped Peyton Burholz seeing the best of her for the Sooners this season. Um, this past season, I should say. And I think definitely a situation where, you know, Jeff Walz is looking through players that he wants to try and find in the transfer portal, and you're always going to have your eye drawn to a player that you played against. Louisville played Oklahoma earlier this year. You see Raina Scott in the portal, and you're like, hey, I know what she can do at the Yum Center. We saw it. So give her a call. And I think you look at those two, a guard and a forward coming in, especially an international forward. When you look at Louisville having Istanbul Bulaglu on the roster already, Jefferman's on the roster already, and then incoming freshman Grace Mbagua, who is technically listed as from Danville, but we know that she was an import originally, and then Yevgenia Putra from Ukraine. The front court for U of L is going to be very internationally heavy, and so having a strong transfer that has experience in Ziegler from Denmark to go along with Istanbuloglu from Turkey, obviously, with her experience, helping bring up those younger players, I think will be very important. And then Scott, like we mentioned, as a creative guard, looking to fill a role that Louisville will need, seeing her be alongside Taj Roberts and help bring her along, as well as, more scorers, hopefully. Bringing Peyton Bradley in. Reagan Bender will probably start to see some more time this year. See what Amari Berry can do as she matures a bit. I think there's definitely a lot to look at on this roster and say, this is what we're used to seeing from Louisville women's basketball. We're going to bring up the players that we've been growing accustomed to, that we've seen fitting in with the Jeff Walz offense and the Jeff Walz style of play, and then we're also going to add some additional experience where we can with players that fit. And hopefully we can see a little bit more success than last year, even though I think we did have a pretty good season. I think exceeded expectations with such a young roster, and I think we'll definitely miss some of the players that we got really used to seeing, but it'll be. I think that women's basketball could be in for a good season,
and I particularly look forward to seeing a couple players that are back again that showed me that they were just on the cusp of really maybe becoming something really great for us. And the first one I'm going to mention is Isla Jeffermans, our Australian 6'4", forward center, however you want to classify her, came in, and the times last year really showed me, especially later in the season, that she was getting used to the Jeff Walz system, that she was functioning well in it, and it was definitely an imposing figure out there on the court, Case.
Yeah, and I think that as much as Olivia Cochran did for this program, and as much as we loved her and are disappointed to see her go, not disappointed, or sad to see her go. She graduated. Yeah. It's not. Nyla Harris left it. That was disappointing, but seeing Cochran graduate is just sad, not necessarily disappointing. As much as it is unfortunate for her to no longer be with the program, I think that, like I mentioned, with a lot of FIBA experience coming in that front court, I think that having Cochran make way at this point in this team's makeup can only be good for these other players. I don't think it will be good for the team to have lost Olivia Cochran. I want to be clear on that. I think that she was incredible, right? But a lot of these other forwards that are on the roster are going to have very similar experiences and very similar styles of play that differ greatly from from how Olivia Cochran played that power forward / center position. And so I think that it will give Louisville a lot more flexibility, and hopefully can help them play with the different styles of teams. I don't think that Louisville has had the roster of late to be just imposing with their own style of play and say it doesn't matter what the other team is doing. We are going to be the ones dictating the game. They've very much needed to be flexible, and haven't necessarily had the ability to have that flexibility. And I think that with more length on the court that also has shooting ability, that may also have speed, that you can do multiple different things with the same lineup on the floor. I think that we could be in for some exciting basketball for sure.
And I think Jeff Walls will have a lot of triggers he can pull. Another one that I'm really excited to see continue her career here is Mac Randolph. First of all, I hate to use the term comparing her to horses, but she's well bred for the game because her dad, Zach Randolph, was such an imposing NBA player when he played. Mac came in from Los Angeles. Certainly saw a lot of competition out there, I think, in that West Coast powerhouse of schools that always turn out big basketball stars and players. Just taking a look at Mac, she came in basically, she played in all 32 games or played 32 games. And we may have had a couple more, I think, maybe, but no. She did play in 32 games. Only played about 14 minutes a game, but averaged 3.6 points a game. Shot 479 from the field. So that's a very good shooting percentage for her. And I think that she's a player that, with a year under her belt, Case is going to be a player that can come in and maybe take over the three. I'm not sure where Wallace is going to use her, but certainly I think she's a player that is going to be one that kind of progresses. And, let's face it, in 2024, she was a McDonald's All-American.
Right.
So she's got the potential there to really turn in something for us.
Yeah, and I think she's just one of those players that adds to that flexibility. Because we saw her do a lot of different things. Some of her threes were a little ill-advised, but she made some. And, if you need some power to rock on the inside, I think that McKinley Randolph is going to help you do that. Not necessarily playing at the center position, but being a power forward on the block. We saw her with some post moves. We saw her able to finish through contact. She's definitely, I agree. I think alongside Taj Roberts, the most exciting rising sophomore. Which is not to take anything away from Amari Berry, but if Amari Berry finds her shot a little bit more, then we're saying, okay, wow, fantastic. But Taj Roberts and McKinley Randolph, definitely the two on my mind of biggest potential impact sophomores.
Jeff Wallace, who has always kind of made a name for himself and having assistants that have gone on and done really good things at other schools. Sam Purcell may be the first that comes to mind. The successes that he's had at Mississippi State. There was Cam Newbauer. Of course, we did lose a long-time assistant though on that staff, Case, who decided that she was going to take her skills and take everything that she had and go out west.
Well, go back home.
Basically back home.
Yeah.
With a coach that she was very familiar with. So, but then, you still got Pineda on staff. Certainly an inspirer. Amanda Butler, who was plagued by having just a lack of talent able to get to the Clemson roster. But she did the best with what she had. It was a tough decision, I think, for Clemson to let her go. But Jeff Wall snapped her up immediately because basically he realized, well, what kind of skill that she could bring to the program. Shay Robinson, been around for a couple years, very good with the players. And Wall's each year after year just continues to. He may lose a coach to another school, but he just rebuilds.
Yeah, and we've kind of already seen that, right? Um, with the addition that hasn't formally been announced, but I think for all intents and purposes, we can say with certainty exists. In the addition of Brittany, why am I not Morris? Couldn't come up with their last name for a second, but bringing Brittany Morris over from NC State, I think will help fill in that guard instruction role. They no longer have Mikasa Robinson on the staff as a grad assistant. I think that was one of Sam Purcell's specialty roles was guards.
Yes, indeed.
I think Norman had a hand in the guards too, and so bringing in someone like Morris, who was very successful in her playing career at Seton Hall, had a few games over at the Yum Center against U of L back when both teams were in the Big East. And so I think that can be very helpful to this team with the younger guards that we're going to be depending on.
And Brittany Morris, as you mentioned, well, she's on the staff now, okay? And let's just go ahead and face it, she is, and we're happy about it because she came over from NC State, and before that was at East Carolina. But her time at NC State is one player I'll mention, Diamond Johnson. And Diamond Johnson, we all know what a star she was at NC State. And Morris kind of helped guide her and basically get her to be a top 10 finalist for the Lieberman Award in 2022. Just an incredible ball player. And Morris, of course, will bring that to the Cards. And the Cards have got, I think, if you take a look at it, some guards that, are going to benefit from having somebody of her skills and her abilities. When you take a look basically at the Cards roster of guards that are going to come in here and try to, well, let's just kind of go through the list. When you take a look at this Cards roster for the upcoming season, who are some of the players that you kind of look at as maybe stepping up this year a little bit more than they did last year?
Who?
Yeah.
Well, it would be hard for Taj Roberts to step up more than she did last year. But we're obviously going to see her in an elevated role with the departure of Jada Curry. I think that Amari Berry really will solidify her role in this offense in the backcourt. But also looking at Reagan Bender, who could see more playing time. Rebecca Graves, who was a redshirt. Skylar Jones as a transfer in. I think we're going to see more. We're going to see quite a bit out of her and Marina Scott, obviously. So you look at this, we're definitely also going to see some players that are listed as forwards on the roster that are playing more of a stretch 3 position because the guard versus forward makeup of this roster is very F heavy, to put it lightly. And there's not really places to add more players. So I think from a guard perspective, Amari Berry and Taj Roberts will be the players that we have seen the most of, that I think we will see even more of. And then you have the new additions to see what they will bring in. But also not just Diamond Johnson. uh, under Brittany Morris at NC State. But don't forget that quite a few people were talking about Isaiah James this season. Um,
Absolutely.
and obviously James had talent coming in as a freshman out of high school, but that shift to the college game is not seamless. And for her to be able to be so successful still in her first season in college, it has to be said. Part of that comes from the coaching staff, and then we also saw in the couple of seasons that she's been there, Sanaya Rivers, I think, has developed a lot into a player that you're like, could we not with her whenever Louisville plays NC State? Um, and that definitely
she has been a thorn in the card side. It is for sure.
and that definitely was development since she started. So yeah, I think Brittany Morris has a lot to offer this team, and it'll be interesting to see what the team looks like and what the bench looks like. I think without Norman there.
And maybe one that's kind of been flying under the radar a little bit, but I think one that has so much potential is the fact that we did add Laura Ziegler to this squad. And originally, Adam Denmark played at St. Joseph's before transferring here. Just listen to some of these awards she got. The 24-25 Becky Hammond Mid-Major Player of the Year finalist. 24-25 Atlantic 10 First Team All Conference. The 24-25 Big Five Player of the Year. That, of course, being the 5 schools around the Philadelphia area. The 24-25 USA National Player of the Year watch list. I mean, the stats just keep adding up for her. I mean, she won the Ann Myers Drysdale National Player of the Week twice in 24-25. Just a ball player that I think we're not really giving enough credit to, and I think one that will be able to take a look at Louisville, assess the situation, and say, "Hey, coach, let me see if I can help you here because I've got these skills." And so, she started all 34 games her junior year at St. Joseph's. I think we'll have her for 2 seasons probably, if I'm not mistaken. I think she'll be able to get that 5th year, if I'm not mistaken. But certainly a player that I think Jeff Wallace scored a coup on. And certainly at 6'2", she's a tall guard. And even though, we've had some smaller guards who have done some wonderful things in the past years, Dana Evans comes to mind immediately. But that 6'2" guard, I don't think you can get enough of those if they've got talent, Case.
Well, yeah. No, I didn't name her when we were talking about guards because she's listed as forward on the roster.
Yeah.
So I think she's going to be the player probably that most likely steps into that stretch 3 role. Seeing her as a small forward, very much a who would be the right comparison? I don't know. I'm not going to come up with a good one, so I won't. But I think, like you said, obviously a lot of talent brings a lot to this team, and I think seeing what she can do with ball handling, with shooting, and then being able to get inside with some ability to get to the basket, I think will bring very much a change of pace to the offense.
And certainly a player I think that will enjoy watching play, and a player that we're certainly going to look forward to the things she can do. But think of any other areas that we need to kind of maybe catch the folks up on, Case? Anything else that you can think of we might want to bring up and bring in here?
Other than final thoughts?
Other than final
don't want to take away the final thought opportunity.
yeah. We don't want you to ruin that already, and spoil it. But and one more player, just maybe, and I don't know what role she's going to play for Cardinal women's basketball, but certainly a player I think that is going to become a fan favorite is going to be Peyton Bradley, who will be coming here from Meade County. And what were her credentials? She was only all state first team last year, and there in Meade County, averaged 28.2 points a game. You need a score? I think she might be the one. And also 114 3-pointers in her senior season.
Yeah.
Not her career, but her senior season.
The Rain Smith, I think, that everybody will want to see for this women's team, right?
Yeah.
Everybody loved that. Whenever the ball went into Rain Smith's hands on the men's side this year, you were like, he's probably going to shoot it, and he would. And like 50% of the time, it went in. So, if you get that kind of player for the women's side, it goes to Peyton. You're like, oh, she's probably going to shoot it. She does. 50% of the time, it goes in. I think Louisville will be happy with that.
Certainly so. And you take a look in her career down in Meade County, she scored over 3,000 points and hit over 500 threes.
Yeah, is that all?
Yeah, I mean, that's boy, that's hardly anything, is it?
Like, come on, it's insane. That's nuts.
Yeah, and if she can just translate those skills to the college game, and then sometimes they're unable to, but Jeff Walls loves her for a couple of reasons. First of all, he says she is so mentally tough that she's a battler. She's going to get out there, and he said that she came back from a major injury and somehow elevated her game even further. And she fits the culture at Louisville. She fits the competitive mindset that the Cards have. And I think she's going to be a great addition to the team. That's a star that may not shine so brightly her first year, but don't sell her short.
Yeah,
she may just jump in there and take over.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned everything that she did in her senior season. That's coming off of a torn ACL after her junior year, and so, I mean, it's incredible. She's second all time in Kentucky State basketball history in made 3-pointers, and she did not play her whole junior year.
And that's pretty incredible. Pretty incredible indeed.
So,
but hey, God, believe it or not, we are almost at the noon hour. We've covered a lot of great things, and of course, now we will get into our final thoughts. So, I'll let you start it out for us.
Sure. Mention one more transfer, and on the same topic, kind of what my post today was about, which was a minor departure from U of L women's athletics, but the Women's College World Series championship game 3 was last night. I think everybody was tuning in, wondering if the game would be as crazy as the first 2 between Texas and Texas Tech, and it was crazy, but for a very different reason. Texas just teed off on Nyjah Kennedy. Kennedy, going into that game starting last night, she had pitched every inning for Texas Tech since the Super Regional.
Yeah, and she was something else.
That's a lot of arm, and she just ran out of gas. And Texas was like, if you're going to leave them over the plate, we're going to hit them. The defense let Kennedy down a little bit in that first inning, but Texas was determined, and so their 8th time of asking, trying to win the Women's College World Series. They finally get it done. 3rd time in the last 4 seasons they've made it to the final, to the championship series, and lost to Oklahoma the previous 2 times, which I'm trying to imagine, like, watching Kentucky win 4 straight national championships, and 2 of those you lost to them in the national championship. It's just like absolute pain. So I'm sure there was a lot of vindication felt after they were able to beat Oklahoma and bump them down into the losers bracket last week. But yeah, congratulations to them. So tying that back to Louisville, and talking about pitching, Louisville added Anna Wise from Ohio University as a transfer left-handed pitcher coming in. Hopefully can help give some relief to Gray and Zabala, as that third pitcher for U of L in Sambu graduated at the end of last season. So um, she got 10 wins and 10 complete games this past season. Struck out 64 in 122 innings, so not too bad.
Almost like Rebecca Gray numbers in high school, who did such a wonderful job at Ballard, and then wanted to basically find her way at Louisville too. I think just finished what her freshman year. It's going to be. I think
Gray will
going to
be a
be
rising junior.
a rising junior. You're right. Okay, yeah, she's had 2 years, but it's hard to replace somebody like Alyssa Zabala. Let's face it.
Well, they don't have to yet.
But
Replacing Sambu. Still have Zabala, who will be a senior.
yeah, Sambu's kind of took a diminished role last year, but was still important in some ways. I'd like to see her rebound, but unfortunately, that ship has sailed. So, uh, final thoughts out of me as we kind of roll through June. Maybe we're not following things as closely in the various women's sports as we normally do, but basically, there's a reason for that because there's not a whole lot going on. I look forward to basically getting to late July and early August when things start to pick up a little bit. And what I want to kind of promise to you all is I'm going to try to do my best to get down and talk with the coaches that make a difference in the fall. Obviously, with field hockey and Justine Sowry, with women's soccer, of course, with Karen Ferguson Days. And we'll also wait to see if they have a fall media sports day and certainly get some other coaches in there as well. But one thing that you'll be able to count on as we continue on is the Cardinal Couple will continue to put out daily information, no matter sometimes how far we have to stretch the taffy to make it work. We will come up with something on a daily basis for you. And certainly we appreciate you listening to this broadcast, which, boy, we've been through quite a few, I think, changes and venues on this thing, but I think right now it's something that I'm very, very happy with, and I'm not going to miss those drives into WCHQ. So, in any event, thanks everybody for listening. Have yourself a great rest of the weekend. And it's like we end with, go Cards.